The water exploded upward without warning. For a fraction of a second, the wetland lost its stillness, shattered by a surge of black mass and white spray. The crocodile rose from beneath the surface in a violent arc, its armored body twisting, jaws opening wide as it launched itself toward the calf. The rhino froze. Its legs locked where they stood, half submerged, the water suddenly too heavy to move through. The surface, that had seemed calm only moments before, now pulled and resisted, dragging at its body as the shadow surged closer. The crocodile closed the distance fast. Its mouth snapped shut just short of the calf's flank, teeth crashing together with a force that sent ripples racing across the water. The impact shook the ground beneath the surface, turning the shallow wetland into chaos. The calf cried out, stumbling forward, splashing blindly, every step slower than the last. Panic replaced curiosity in an instant. The shore felt impossibly far away now. From the bank, the elephant charged. Mud tore free beneath its weight as it surged toward the water. Ears flared wide, trunk raised, the ground trembling with every step. There was no hesitation this time, no testing, no waiting. The crocodile struck again. Its body twisted back toward the calf, tail sweeping through the water, forcing the calf to turn, cutting off its escape. The wetland that had once seemed open now closed in from every side. The elephant reached the edge. The distance between them, water, time, and fear had narrowed to a single moment. And in that moment, one move would decide whether the calf reached the shore or disappeared beneath the surface forever. The morning began without urgency. Mist still clung to the low ground when the rhino and her calf reached the edge of the wetland, a pale veil hovering just above the waterline. The air was cool, heavy with the smell of damp earth and crushed grass. Somewhere beyond the reeds, birds moved unseen, their calls faint and scattered. The mother stopped first. She had learned, over years of moving through places like this, that stillness was not emptiness. The wetland did not announce itself with sound or movement. It waited. It softened the land slowly, blurring the line between solid ground and water until even familiar paths felt uncertain. Behind her, the calf bumped gently into her flank. It was still young enough to misjudge distance, still large, and awkward in a body that had grown faster than coordination. Its hide was smoother, lighter in tone than the mother's, marked by faint creases where skin folded too easily. It lifted its head, sniffing the air, ears flicking at insects that dared come too close. The mother did not move. She stood with her weight evenly distributed, head low, listening. The calf shifted again, impatient, nudging forward, curious about the open space ahead. The wetland stretched wide in front of them, water reflecting the pale sky, broken only by tall reeds and scattered patches of mud. The calf had never seen water like this. It was not a river, confined and moving. Not a pool, small and contained. This water seemed to belong to the land itself, spreading wherever the ground allowed, filling shallow dips and low places without direction or hurry. The calf stepped forward. The mother blocked its path with a slow, deliberate movement of her body. She did not push or shove. She simply placed herself between the calf and the water, a solid wall of presence. The calf snorted softly, more surprised than annoyed, then circled her, trying to peer past her broad shoulder. From this angle, the water looked inviting, smooth, quiet. It reflected the sky so perfectly that it seemed almost harmless. Like a continuation of the air itself, the mother remained still. She had crossed this wetland before, not often and never without reason. She knew what lived here not as a list of threats, but as a general weight that pressed against her instincts. Crocodiles lived in these waters, many of them. They were not always visible, not always active, but they were part of the place, as permanent as the mud and the reeds. Most days, they did nothing. Most days, animals crossed safely. That was what made the wetland dangerous. The mother shifted her stance slightly, angling her body so the calf could not pass her easily. She lowered her head, horn pointing toward the water, and waited. Waiting was never wasted time. It allowed the land to reveal itself, or at least to fail at hiding. Behind them, the elephant approached. It did not come directly toward the water, but at an angle, following a path of firmer ground. Its movements were unhurried, each step placed with care, as if the ground might object if pressed too suddenly. Its ears moved lazily, fanning at flies, trunk swinging low. The elephant noticed the rhino pair immediately. Always did. Not because it searched for them, but because their presence altered the space around them. Large bodies shaped the air, shifted sound, bent attention. The elephant slowed further, watching without staring, aware without interfering. The mother rhino sensed the elephant as well. She turned her head slightly, acknowledging its presence without alarm. They had crossed paths before, not often, not closely, but enough to recognize each other as part of the same moving world. The calf, however, was more interested in the elephant than the water now. It turned clumsily, trotting a few steps toward the larger figure, head lifted, ears forward. The elephant paused, lifting its trunk slightly, breathing in the scent carried on the air. It did not approach. It did not retreat. It simply stood, a quiet constant in the shifting landscape. The mother allowed the calf to move away from the water's edge, watching closely, adjusting her position so she remained between danger and curiosity. The calf circled the elephant at a respectful distance, unsure whether to be bold or cautious, its movements exaggerated and uncertain. For a moment, the wetland receded into the background. This was how danger often lost its grip, not by vanishing, but by being temporarily overshadowed. The mother turned her head again toward the water. The mist had thinned slightly, revealing more of the surface. Nothing moved. No ripples. No sudden disturbances. Just water, heavy and dark, lying still. She exhaled slowly. The need that had brought them here could not be ignored much longer. The calf needed water. She needed to move on, to continue toward firmer ground beyond the wetland. Waiting forever was not an option. It never was. The mother stepped forward. Her first step into the wetland was careful, testing the ground beneath the surface. Mud pressed upward around her foot, soft but supportive. She shifted her weight slightly, then took another step. The water rose to her ankles, then higher. The calf watched, fascinated. The mother moved slowly, deliberately, keeping her body angled so she could turn back instantly if needed. She did not go deep. Not yet. Just far enough to confirm that the ground held, that the water did not conceal sudden drops or unstable silt. Behind her, the calf hesitated. This was new. The boundary between solid land and water was unclear, and the calf's instincts wavered. It took one step forward, then stopped, lifting its foot quickly as the cool water touched its skin. The mother turned her head sharply. The calf froze, understanding the signal without needing to interpret it. It stepped back, shaking its foot slightly, more startled than frightened. The elephant watched all of this in silence. It did not know about crocodiles in the way the mother did, but it knew about wetlands, about places where sound changed, where movement slowed, where the ground could not always be trusted. It had learned, over time, to respect the edges of such places. The elephant shifted its weight, stepping closer, but still remaining on firm ground. It did not enter the water. Not yet. The mother took another step, then another, testing, listening. The water remained calm. Too calm, perhaps, but calm nonetheless. She turned her head back toward the calf, emitting a low sound, not a call, not a warning, but an instruction. Stay. The calf obeyed, at least for now. The mother moved farther out, just enough to drink. She lowered her head, lips touching the surface, drawing water slowly. Each movement was controlled, economical. She did not splash. She did not linger. From beneath the surface, nothing stirred. The crocodiles remained still. They often did. The calf watched its mother drink, fascination returning. Water was no longer just something that blocked the path. It was something useful, something necessary. The calf took a few tentative steps forward, stopping short of the water's edge. The mother lifted her head immediately. She finished drinking quickly, turning back toward the calf. It was time to move. Lingering invited attention, even when nothing obvious watched. As she turned, a sound reached her from farther along the wetland. Not loud, not sudden. Just a subtle shift of disturbance in the water, distant and brief. The mother froze mid-step, head lifting, ears angling toward the sound. The calf did not notice. The elephant did. Its trunk lifted higher now, ears pausing their lazy movement. The sound was faint, but it carried through the ground, through the water, through the shared stillness of the place. The mother took one step back toward the calf, then another. She had what she needed. That was enough. But as she moved, another sound reached her, this one from behind, from the direction they had come. A low, distant call. Familiar, urgent. Another rhino. The mother turned her head sharply toward the sound. The calf startled, looking back as well, confusion replacing curiosity. The call came again, closer now. The tone was unmistakable. It was not a warning. It was not alarm. It was a summons. The mother hesitated. Leaving the wetland now was sensible. Staying together was safer. But the call carried weight, territorial, social, immediate. Ignoring it could invite conflict later, something far more dangerous than a cautious crossing. She turned back to the calf, stepping closer, lowering her head to touch it gently with her horn. Wait. The calf shifted uneasily, snorting softly, but did not move. The mother turned away. She did not leave quickly. She did not run. She walked with purpose, glancing back once, then again, ensuring the calf remained where she left it on firmer ground, just short of the water's edge. The elephant watched her go. It did not understand the call, but it understood departure. It shifted slightly, placing itself closer to the calf, not intentionally protective, but present enough to alter the space. The calf watched its mother disappear into the tall grass beyond the wetland, her massive form slowly swallowed by the landscape. It took a few uncertain steps forward, then stopped, alone now in a way it had not experienced before. The water lay ahead. The elephant stood nearby. And beneath the surface of the wetland, the crocodiles waited still, silent, part of a place that had not yet decided what would happen next. The wetland did not change when the mother disappeared. That was what made the absence feel heavier than it should have. The calf stood where it had been left, watching the tall grass sway gently where its mother had vanished. The sound of her movement faded slowly, swallowed by distance and vegetation, until nothing remained but the faint rustle of insects and the distant call of birds. The calf shifted its weight. It was not afraid yet. It had been alone before, briefly, always within sight. This was different, but not immediately alarming. The world still looked the same. The ground still felt solid. Its feet, the water still led, Weijing calm. Nearby, the elephant remained still. Its presence was not comforting in the way the calf understood comfort, but it altered the space nonetheless. Large animals changed the rules of places simply by existing within them. The elephant's moss anchored the ground, made the air feel heavier, more deliberate. The calf glanced toward the elephant, then back to the water. Curiosity first, always did. The water was closer now than it had been before, the edge only a few slow steps away. The calf took one, then another, careful but drawn forward by the openness of the wetland. The mud near the edge was cool, soft, yielding slightly beneath its weight. Behind it, the elephant shifted. One foot moved forward, then another, slow and measured. It did not approach the calf directly, but it closed the distance between them enough to matter. Its trunk hung low, nearly brushing the ground, its ears still. The wetland remained quiet, too quiet. The calf stepped closer to the water's edge and stopped. The surface reflected the sky in dull gray tones, broken only by faint ripples where insects touched down briefly before lifting away. Nothing else moved. The calf lowered its head slightly, sniffing. The scent of the water was unfamiliar thick, layered, carrying more than one story at once. It smelled of mud, of plants decaying slowly beneath the surface, of something older, heavier, that did not belong to the air. The calf lifted its head again, uncertain. The elephant raised its trunk slightly. It had not heard anything, not exactly. But the ground felt different now, subtly altered beneath its feet. Vibrations passed through it, faint, irregular, easily dismissed if one was not paying attention. The elephant paid attention. It took another step forward, placing itself closer to the calf, angling its body so that the wetland lay fully within its field of awareness. Its posture changed, not dramatically, but enough to signal readiness. The calf noticed this. It turned its head toward the elephant, ears flicking, sensing the shift without understanding it. The elephant did not look at the calf. Its gaze remained fixed on the water. The calf followed that gaze. For the first time, the water did not look empty. It was not a clear sight, not a defined shape, more an impression, a sense that the surface hid more than it revealed. The calf could not articulate the feeling, but it hesitated now, one foot lifted, uncertain whether to step forward or back. Behind the surface, something moved, slowly. The movement did not break the water. It did not create ripples or disturbances that could be easily seen. It was the kind of movement that belonged beneath things, deep enough to remain concealed, close enough to matter. The calf lowered its foot back onto solid ground. The elephant exhaled slowly. Neither animal made a sound. Time stretched. Moments passed without incident, without confirmation. The calf's tension faded slightly, replaced again by curiosity, by the restless need to move that came with youth. The absence of immediate consequence made the earlier hesitation feel unnecessary. The calf took another step forward. This time, the mud gave way more noticeably, pulling at its foot before releasing it with a soft sound. The calf startled slightly, lifting its foot quickly, then placing it down again more carefully. The elephant moved closer. Now, it stood only a few body lengths away, close enough that its shadow fell partly across the calf's back. The elephant did not block the calf's path, but its presence narrowed the space, made movement feel less free. The calf paused, ears flicking again. From beneath the water, the crocodiles waited. They did not rush the moment. They rarely did. They had learned the shape of this place, the rhythm of animals crossing, the difference between hesitation and commitment. They responded not to fear, but to inevitability. The calf was not inevitable yet. It lingered, shifting its weight, lifting and lowering its feet, testing the edge of the wetland without fully entering it. Each small movement sent faint vibrations through the water, signals that traveled farther than the calf could imagine. The elephant felt them. Its trunk lifted higher now, ears angling forward slightly. The elephant took another step, placing itself directly between the calf and the deepest part of the water, though it did not consciously choose to do so. The calf noticed the change immediately. It stopped, head lifting, attention snapping back to the elephant. Confusion replaced curiosity. The calf snorted softly, questioning, stepping sideways rather than forward. The elephant did not move. The water remained still. The calf took another sideways step, then another, testing the boundary created by the elephant's presence. The elephant mirrored the movement subtly, maintaining position without confrontation. For a brief moment, the calf considered turning back entirely. The direction its mother had gone tugged at something instinctive, a pull toward familiarity and safety. The calf took one step in that direction, then stopped. The grass beyond the wetland was tall and dense. The calf could no longer see its mother. The world behind it felt just as uncertain as the water ahead. The elephant stood quietly, neither urging nor preventing. The calf hesitated, caught between two unknowns. That was when the water shifted, not violently, not suddenly, just enough. A faint ripple spread outward from a point several body lengths away from the shore, subtle and brief, gone almost as soon as it appeared. The calf noticed it this time, head snapping back toward the water. The elephant noticed it too. The ripple was followed by another, slightly closer. The calf took an involuntary step backward. The elephant stepped forward. Now, they stood nearly side by side, the calf small and tense beside the elephant's massive form. The water lay ahead, unchanged on the surface, but something beneath it had drawn nearer. The calf breathed quickly now, shallow breaths that betrayed rising unease. It shifted its weight again, hoof slipping slightly in the mud, balance harder to maintain. The elephant lowered its trunk toward the water without touching it, as if measuring distance, as if listening through the surface. The crocodiles adjusted. They did not attack. Not yet! The calf was still just out of reach, still close enough to retreat fully. The moment had not ripened. Time stretched again. The calf's nerves tightened, its body leaning backward now, away from the water. It took another step back, then another, putting a small but meaningful distance between itself and the wetland's edge. The elephant remained between calf and water, a living barrier. For a moment, it seemed the danger might pass without incident. Then the calf stumbled. It was a small mistake, barely noticeable in another place. Its foot caught in a patch of softer mud, slipping forward unexpectedly. The calf lurched, regaining balance quickly, but the movement sent a stronger vibration through the ground and water. Below the surface, something turned. The elephant felt it immediately, a shift, a tightening, a readiness that had not been present before. Its muscles tensed, ears flaring slightly. The calf froze. It stood perfectly still now, every instinct screaming at once. The water no longer felt distant. It felt close, pressing in, narrowing the space. The surface remained calm. That was the most dangerous part. The elephant stepped closer still, now almost touching the calf, its massive body angled protectively, its focus locked on the water ahead. The calf leaned into the elephant without realizing it, drawn toward the solidity, the certainty of another body close by. The wetland held its breath. Somewhere beneath the surface, the crocodiles completed their alignment. Not yet. Soon. The first strike came without sound. There was no warning cry, no dramatic surge of water beforehand. One moment the surface lay smooth and heavy, reflecting the dull gray sky, and the next it shattered. The crocodile erupted from beneath the wetland in a violent explosion of muscle and water, its massive body launching upward with terrifying speed. Mud and spray tore into the air as its jaws opened wide, rows of teeth flashing pale against the dark water. The calf screamed. Its legs locked for a fraction of a second, just long enough for fear to steal movement, before instinct tore control back. It twisted clumsily, hooves slipping in the mud as it tried to turn away, panic driving every motion. The crocodile struck where the calf had been standing a heartbeat earlier. Its jaws snapped shut with bone-crushing force, teeth colliding as water and mud exploded outward. The impact sent a shock through the wetland, ripples racing in every direction, breaking the stillness that had held for so long. The calf stumbled backward, splashing blindly, every movement slowed by the sucking pull of the mud. It cried out again, a sharp, desperate sound that cut through the air. The elephant moved instantly. There was no hesitation, no pause to assess. The massive body surged forward, feet tearing free from the mud with raw force. Each step shook the ground as the elephant charged into the wetland, water surging up around its legs. The crocodile twisted, adjusting mid-motion. Its body slammed back into the water, tail whipping violently, sending waves crashing into the calf's legs. The calf lost its footing, slipping sideways, nearly falling as the water swallowed its knees. The elephant closed the distance. Its trunk lifted high, ears flared wide, its entire posture transformed from still observer to unstoppable force. Water churned violently around its legs as it advanced, driving straight toward the chaos. The crocodile lunged again. This time it aimed not for the calf, but for space, cutting off retreat, forcing the calf deeper into the wetland. Its massive head broke the surface once more, jaws snapping just short of the calf's hind leg. The calf bolted. It surged forward with everything it had, splashing wildly, hooves barely finding purchase. Mud clung to its legs, dragging it down, threatening to steal balance with every step. The elephant roared. The sound tore through the wetland, deep and thunderous, vibrating through water and ground alike. It was not a warning. It was a declaration. The elephant slammed one massive foot down into the water, sending a shockwave outward. Water surged violently, breaking the crocodile's alignment, forcing it to adjust again. The crocodile recoiled slightly, then surged forward once more, jaws snapping upward. Aiming for the space beneath the calf's belly, the elephant reached the calf. With a powerful sweep of its trunk, the elephant shoved the calf sideways, pushing it toward firmer ground. The calf stumbled, nearly falling, then regained balance and ran, splashing, slipping, desperate but moving. The crocodile snapped shut on empty water. Fury replaced patience. It lunged fully from the wetland now, massive body twisting sideways as it tried to follow the calf's scabby path. Its armored back rose high above the surface, tail thrashing, churning mud and water into chaos. The elephant stepped directly into its path. Water surged up around the elephant's chest as it planted itself between the calf and the predator. The elephant lowered its head slightly, trunk raised, tusks angled forward, not to kill, but to stop. The crocodile struck. Its jaws slammed against the elephant's tusks with a brutal impact, teeth scraping against ivory instead of flesh. The force echoed through the wetland, a violent clash of ancient power. The elephant held. Its feet dug deep into the mud, muscles straining as it absorbed the force. The crocodile twisted violently, tail lashing, trying to find a weakness, trying to force its way past. The elephant pushed forward. With a surge of strength, it drove its tusks against the crocodile's skull, forcing the massive reptile back. Water exploded upward as the crocodile thrashed, fighting the pressure, jaws snapping wildly. Behind them, the calf reached the edge of the wetland. It stumbled onto firmer ground, legs trembling, chest heaving as it turned to look back. Its body was splattered with mud and water, but it stood, unharmed, alive. The elephant roared again. The sound carried across the wetland, rolling through the reeds, through the water, through the air itself. The crocodile hesitated, not in fear, but in calculation. This prey was no longer isolated. The cost had risen too high. The crocodile snapped once more at the elephant's tusks, then twisted away, tail whipping violently as it retreated toward deeper water. Its massive body slid beneath the surface, leaving chaos and churn in its wake. The elephant did not pursue. It stood its ground, watching the water carefully, muscles taut, ready for another strike that did not come. Slowly, the wetlands settled. Ripples spread outward, then faded. Mud sank back into place. The surface grew smooth once more, as if nothing had happened. The elephant turned. The calf stood on solid ground now, breathing hard, eyes wide, body shaking with exhaustion and shock. It took one uncertain step toward the elephant, then another. The elephant moved closer, lowering its trunk gently, placing it between itself and the calf, not touching, not restraining, simply present. The water lay behind them, quiet again, but changed forever. The water did not settle all at once. Even after the crocodile slipped beneath the surface, the wetland remained disturbed, as if the place itself needed time to decide whether the danger had truly passed. Ripples moved outward in slow, overlapping circles, colliding with reeds and muddy banks before fading unevenly. The elephant stayed where it was. Its body remained angled toward the deeper water, legs braced, trunk lowered just above the surface. It did not turn immediately toward the calf. It did not relax. The muscles along its shoulders and back stayed taut, holding the posture of readiness. This was not over yet. The calf stood several body lengths away on firmer ground, chest heaving, legs trembling with exhaustion and adrenaline. Mud clung to its hide, streaking its sides and legs in dark lines. It shifted its weight once, then froze again, unsure whether to move closer or stay still. The elephant sensed the movement without turning. It lifted its trunk slightly, not in warning, but in acknowledgement, a silent signal to remain where it was. The calf obeyed, standing still despite the urge to close the distance. The water rippled again. Subtle this time, localized, close. The elephant's ears flared wider. From beneath the surface, something moved, not retreating, not advancing, but circling. The crocodile had not left the wetland entirely. Readied. It repositioned, slipping into deeper channels where the water darkened and thickened, where visibility vanished. The elephant shifted its stance, taking one careful step sideways to maintain its position between the calf and the water's deepest stretch. Each movement was slow and deliberate, designed not to provoke, not to invite another charge, but to deny opportunity. The calf watched, breathing gradually slowing as the initial shock faded. Fear remained, but it changed shape. It was no longer blind panic, it was awareness. The calf had learned something in moments that should have taken years. The elephant lowered its trunk to the water's surface and touched it gently. The contact sent a small ripple outward, deliberate and controlled. The elephant waited, reading the response, the way the water moved, the way the ripples returned, the way the surface failed to hide everything. Nothing broke the surface. Still, the elephant did not withdraw. Minutes passed. The wetland remained quiet, but the quiet was no longer deceptive. It was tense, held in place by opposing forces measuring each other from opposite sides of the surface. The crocodile surfaced briefly at a distance. Only the eyes appeared at first, set low and wide, barely breaking the waterline. They remained still, fixed on the elephant, calculating. The rest of the body stayed submerged, hidden, ready. The elephant saw them. It did not charge. Instead, it stepped forward once more, deliberately closing the distance just enough to assert presence. Water surged around its legs, disturbed again, denying the crocodile the stillness it preferred. The crocodile sank back beneath the surface. The elephant waited. This pattern repeated. The crocodile surfaced briefly, testing, probing for weakness. Each time, the elephant adjusted, stepping, turning, disturbing the water, refusing to allow the wetland to return to the calm the predator needed. The calf remained still throughout, watching intently now, eyes tracking every movement. It no longer attempted to approach the water. The boundary was clear. The elephant began to guide the space. Slowly, it shifted its position not toward the calf, but sideways along the edge of the wetland, herding the invisible threat away from the narrow stretch where the calf had been trapped. Each step altered angles, reduced lines of approach, widened the margin of safety. The crocodile followed at first. Then it hesitated. The cost was becoming too high. Each attempt required movement, exposure, energy, all things the crocodile conserved carefully. The elephant was not prey. It was resistance. Eventually, the crocodile withdrew deeper. moving toward the center of the wetland where the water darkened and widened, where other channels offered better concealment and future opportunities. The elephant watched until the last trace of movement vanished. Only then did it turn. The calf stood waiting, smaller now than before, not because it had changed, but because the moment had expanded everything else. The elephant approached slowly, deliberately, ensuring the calf did not panic again. When it reached the calf, the elephant stopped short of contact. It lowered its trunk to the ground between them, grounding the space, creating stillness again, this time earned. The calf stepped forward cautiously, one step, then another. It pressed close to the elephant's side, leaning lightly against the massive leg. The elephant did not move away. The wetland lay behind them, quiet once more, but no longer inviting. The wetland released its tension slowly. It did not empty itself of danger, nor did it announce peace. The surface grew smooth again, but this time the stillness felt different, not inviting, not deceptive, but restrained, as if something beneath had settled back into patience. The elephant remained where it was for a long while. Its posture softened gradually, ears relaxed. The trunk lowered fully, brushing the ground, tracing lines in the mud that the water would erase by morning. The effort had passed, but the vigilance lingered, slow to fade. The calf stayed close. It no longer trembled, though its body still carried the echo of the moment, the pull of mud. The explosion of water, the sudden realization that the world could change without warning. It leaned lightly against the elephant's leg, grounding itself in the solid presence beside it. Time stretched again, but now it stretched safely. The air warmed as the day moved on. Insects returned, tentative at first, then bolder. Somewhere in the distance, birds resumed their calls, cautious notes that tested the space before committing fully. Life did not rush back. It eased in carefully, as if checking whether the wetland truly allowed it. The elephant turned its head slightly, listening. Far beyond the reeds, a familiar sound carried through the air. The calf lifted its head immediately. The call came again, low, powerful, unmistakable. Its mother. The calf responded with a sharp, eager sound. Taking a few quick steps forward before stopping, glancing back toward the elephant did not block the movement. It shifted instead, opening the space, allowing the path forward to exist. The calf hesitated only a moment longer, then it ran. Its steps were clumsy, uneven, but driven by certainty now, rather than curiosity. It splashed through shallow patches of mud and grass, moving away from the wetland, away from the water that had nearly claimed it. The elephant watched it go. It did not follow immediately. It waited until the calf reached firmer ground, until the tall grass parted and the familiar shape of the mother emerged. The reunion was brief but intense, the mother lowering her head, touching the calf, circling it once, confirming with scent and presence that nothing had been taken. Only then did the elephant move. It turned away from the wetland without looking back, choosing a different path, one that kept its distance from the water. Its steps were slow again, unhurried, as if the urgency had never existed. Behind them, the wetland returned to itself. The crocodiles remained. They always would. The place did not change because of what had happened. It did not become safer. It did not become crueler. It simply continued, indifferent to fear, indifferent to survival, offering the same still surface to the next creature that approached. But something had changed. The calf would never step into water like that again without pause. The elephant would remember this place, this edge, this moment when stillness broke. And the land would wait, patient, silent, ready to repeat the lesson for anyone who mistook calm for safety.